Hey, good Monday morning. This is Coach Gary from San Francisco Bay Area, and we're going to talk this morning about follow-up. You often hear that the gold is in the follow-up. Well, why is that true? And we're going to talk about that this morning. By the way, it's been raining like cats and dogs here in San Francisco, and all last night it just came down. We even had some hail, so we're finally catching up with that rain a little bit, based on the fact that January was so dry for us here, and then back east are getting all that snow and rain and storms. My gosh. But anyway, I want to talk this morning again about the follow-up and why it's important and what you can do to have a better follow-up. But as you get into doing your follow-up, you've got to set your follow-up up. And what do I mean by set up your follow-up? Okay, because if you don't have, if you would at your initial conversation, if you don't form these people properly to find out what their motivation is, you got a very weak follow-up. So what do you mean by forming? What do you mean by finding out what their motivation is? Well, before I go there, let me put you in the sense that you are a solutions provider to solve somebody else's problem. That's basically the mindset and the position that you have to take. I'm a solutions provider. I'm there to create relationships and to help people move their lives forward. I'm a solution provider to help them solve some of their problems. And you got to remember that people have a lot of problems today, but the problem is they don't want to admit that they have these problems. Seriously. It's hard for people to talk about the fact that they're down and out financially, that they can't pay their rent, or they're behind on their rent, or they can't make all their bills, that they have more month than money. It's very difficult sometimes that they're working 2 or 3 jobs, or they've been arguing in their marriage. Those things are very, very difficult today. Our country, and now we're coming out of it, thank God for that, but we've been living, in a 50% of our country has been living below the poverty line. That's not a hype thing. That's a fact. 50% of our country has been living below the poverty line. That means people have been struggling financially. So how do you get them to open up to you? By being their friend. Let me say that again. You get people to open up to you by being their friend and being honest and sincere with them. So you have to open up to them. So let's go back to this forming technique. I learned this back in the old Amway days. Well, what's forming? Well, forming is, first of all, you got to start with an icebreaker in the conversation. So maybe you want to talk about the family. If you're talking to somebody in the war market, if you just met with somebody, that's a little bit different, and we'll talk about that icebreaker. So you got to have your icebreaker conversations mastered and memorized. That's the fault of most people. They don't really take the time to memorize or master their icebreakers, their opening statements. How do you engage in a dialogue and get people to talk to you? That's the problem. So just keep that in mind. Now, I always engage people in 2 areas. If it's somebody I know, I always start out with, how's the family? How's everything going? Okay. How's the dog? How's the cat? How's the kids? All right. It's an easy icebreaker. It just opens it up and they start sharing about what they love the most, their family. Okay. The second question I always ask, when it talks about forming is like, how's everything going on the job? How's the occupation going? How's the job going? And you're going to hear things like, yeah, I'm working long hours. I don't have time for the family. You're always going to hear that. Just ask them the question, how's it going on work? Sometimes you're going to hear, I love it. Everything's going great. And that's wonderful. Okay. So, but you're going to find out a lot of people are going to open up to you a little bit. Some of those people that tell you that everything's going great, it ain't going great. Okay. All right. Most people in our country today do not have a plan to retire. And without residual passive income, they don't have a plan to retire. So we're going to talk about leading questions to get people to open up to you, but you got to open up to them first to set up that follow-up. All right, so open up with an icebreaker, talk about their family. Second thing is talk about their occupation. Third thing is talk about what they do for fun. Well, what do you do for fun? Well, I play golf. Well, how often do you do that? Well, I haven't played in a while. Well, why is that? See? Then you're going to find out what their motivation is by asking those 3 simple questions about their family, their occupation, and what they do for fun. Well, what if you just meet somebody new? You went to a seminar or you met them in a meetup group. Well, when you call them back, you just simply say, look, I want to connect with you. I want to know more about you. And I want to know what you do for fun. Tell me a little bit about yourself, what you do for fun. And of course, about your line of work. You see, the forming aspects to that are in that sentence. Think about it. We're talking about occupation, recreation, and motivation. Now, how do you get to the motivation? By asking leading questions. But to get a leading question, and you got to relate to that person. Remember, 80% of your conversation, whether it's friend, warm market, local market, online, it doesn't matter. 80% is getting people to talk to you, listening to them, and talking in terms of their interests and their issues, not yours. You can sit, I know some people get on the phone for 30 minutes to tell everybody all their problems. That doesn't work. You want to hear about them. So when I ask somebody, if I'm going to talk to them about, do you have a real plan to, everybody, do you have a plan to retire? Because I honestly feel, write this down, you need 3 plans in your life. You need a plan for your life. Most people don't have that, and that's why they're all over the map, back and forth, job to job, okay, problem to problem. Do you have a plan for your life? Think about that. If you could snap your fingers and have anything you want in life, what would it be? If you had the perfect calendar, what would it look like? Think about that just for a minute. How many people have a plan for their life? Second thing is, how many people have a plan for their business? For job advancement? Seriously, people don't plan enough. It's just a fact of life. They don't have a plan. The third thing is they don't have a plan for retirement. They don't have a plan to build passive residual income. I get so many people telling me, I just don't have time. Well, that's the reason you want to look at the business. See, that's a leading question. Do you want it to be that way all the time? Do you want to be behind the 8 ball, working long hours, living a stressful life? You know, is that what you really want? And sometimes I tell people, I say, look, if you want to change, you're going to have to do something different in your thinking and in your actions. They go, what do you mean? Well, you've been telling me that you've been doing this for the last 3 years, 5 years, and 10 years. What do you think the next 5 years are going to look like if you don't make change, if you don't do something drastically different? It's going to be the same. You're caught in a wheel. You're caught in a rat race, as Robert Kiyosaki says. How do you help people get out of the rat race? They have to do something significantly different in their life. And usually what it takes is somebody reaching down who's gone through that same turmoil or rat race that they're in, reaching down and saying, look, I was there. I know what it's like. I'm going to help you out of it. You reach down to them. But before you can reach down, I'm going to share something with you. Okay. And a lot of people really don't get this, or they get it. They don't understand the power of it. And they don't understand how it can empower you and change your life. You see, before you can reach down, you got to reach up. You got to let somebody help you. You got to let somebody mentor you and coach you. Because if you don't reach up, you'll never be able to reach down, my friends. That's the real truth. That's why the 3-way call is so important in our business. The power of a 3-way call makes all the difference in the world. Because here's why. I'm going to ask the right questions that you don't know to ask. I'm going to ask the leading questions that are get people to talk to me without offending them. I'm going to teach you how to connect and relate and connect to people. 80% discussion, 10% relating, and 10% connecting. Teach people how to bond. That's the truth. And the more 3-way calls you do, the better you're going to get. The stronger you're going to grow, the more empowering you're going to be. But until you learn to get people on a 3-way call, well, how do I get them on a 3-way call? Very simple. If you form them properly and you ask the right questions about how they're doing, the leading questions, it's very simple. Okay. People say, well, should I lead with the product? Should I lead with the opportunity? Well, you got to form them and find out what their issues are. If somebody is struggling financially, you want to lead with the business opportunity. Are you prepared to share why you're joining your company or my company or our company's FGX Express? Are you prepared to share that? Then you got to really write that out and you got to practice it. So if I'm talking to somebody and they're struggling financially and they just don't have enough money, or they just, they're struggling and they haven't really got it off the ground yet, or you know what, I'm gonna ask them some really pointed questions. Like, do you have a plan of action? Are you implementing that plan of action? Tell me in detail what you're doing last Monday, last Tuesday, last Wednesday. See, I'm going to dig deep to find out what they're doing, because I want to see if they really are implementing, if they really do have the skill sets necessary to achieve at the level that they so desire to achieve at. So all those things are important. Do you have a plan of action? Are you implementing that plan? What are you saying to people? See, I always ask two questions. One that pertains to my specific opportunity is, do you know anybody living in pain? That's the icebreaker that opens up the conversation. Most of the time people say, oh gosh, yes, and they start sharing their stories. Now, if somebody is struggling financially, I'm going to ask them, what an extra $500 or $1,000, what would you do with it? I'm going to ask them, what are the biggest challenges that you faced right now? Is it time or money, or is it both? What do you mean? Well, most people are really pressured for time today. They're working long hours or working 2 or 3 jobs. It's like, I don't have time to do anything else. But when I get those type of people, I said, don't you want to change that? Do you want to continue down that road? What if I can show you how to change that by investing a little bit of that time in cracks of time you never thought possible? So you want to get that script down. If I can help you in cracks of time you never thought possible, well, how can I do that? Because I'm going to teach them some techniques that they can spend 30 minutes a day and get out of the rat race. 30 minutes a day, they can truly get online, make a few contacts by simply texting a few friends or private messaging some people and learning how to connect with them. And then, once they have a relationship, they can text, hey, what does your schedule look like to chat? And while they're driving, I teach them how to control their calendar so they can plug it in cracks of time here and there and everywhere. You got to stop to eat. You got to go to the bathroom, for crying out loud. So when you say you don't have time, what you're really telling me is that you don't want to change and you don't want to learn how to manage your time and manage your calendar. See, most people throw away more time. The reason people don't have time is they don't know how to manage time. See, I know that. All right. So when you're talking to people about, we can help you change that, let's look at what you got a hold of. First of all, you think about this if you're in here from another MLM, but because, I coach across the board here, but I'm a professional coach. But just think about this for a minute. Think about what your salient points are. So I'm going to go over mine if you don't mind. But, I looked at FGX Express for several reasons, but the one that got my attention the most is a type 1 FDA listed medical device. Nobody else has that. It's very unique to the market. Very powerful to have a device that relieves pain. Very powerful. Dilates the blood vessels, cleans cellular waste out. My gosh. That's pretty powerful. Brings nutrients, and oxygen to that pain area. That's pretty powerful, my friends. When I experienced that patch, I was amazed after 11 years that I can go to bed without pain, wake up without pain, put my pants on without pain. Very powerful testimony. So, there's something there. Now, if you don't have that in your life, that kind of pain, you can leverage off my story or somebody else's story. There's a whole book written about testimonies, about what this patch is doing for people, even people with fibromyalgia. So share those stories. Leverage the stories. That's all. Share their stories. Here's why I'm building this business. I'm on a campaign. I'm campaigning out there to help people relieve pain. Now, let's talk about leading with the opportunity. Because you had a conversation enough to open up to them and say, I don't have my future, my financial future secured. I'm concerned about, having enough money and time to do the things that I need with my kids or whatever the reason is. I'm concerned about, we're renting an apartment. We don't have a home yet. The car keeps breaking down. Whatever the reasons are, you're going to find that people will open up and talk to you. This is the best time ever to build this business. And then at that point, you can say, look, here's what I'm doing from an opportunity standpoint. I found this opportunity, and you start sharing why you like the opportunity. Well, I've never seen these type 1 medical device pain strips do what they do for people. It's amazing. Here's a company that's only a year old that's 60 million in their first year, not 10 or 15, friends. 60 million is amazing. To do that in your first year? Wow. Then you come up and say, my gosh, they're in pre-launch. They haven't even officially launched yet. We don't launch this company until May 25th and May 28th at the Bellagio in Las Vegas. We're in pre-launch. Well, timing is everything. So write these things down, these salient points. Great FDA medical device that helps people relieve pain. Secondly, they're exploding in a pre-launch phase, which is unheard of. It's only going to get bigger and better. They're operating in 190 countries. Write that down, 190 countries. This is a global opportunity. The internet today allows you to build this on a global basis. Now, why is that important? Because you see, here's the key. A true home-based business isn't running to a lot of meetings. I'm sorry. Now, meetings are important. Parties are important. I promise they are. But a true home-based business is being able to do it from your laptop, your iPad, your tablet, your Android, your iPhone. It really is. Because today it's a mobile digital market. And that's going to be this thing right here. I promise you right here. Your whole life, your banking, your planning, cash disbursements, cash receipts, everything's going to be here. There's just, it is now. This thing right here is going to run our lives, man. You know, if you buy one of these and you don't insure it, I'm sorry, and you drop it, you break the glass, too bad. I would insure it, okay? Your whole life is on there, right? So that's the future. Think about that. You could be sitting at a coffee shop, texting people, hey, what does your calendar look like in the next few days? I need to chat with you. I got to share something with you. I got something really important I want to discuss with you. Hey, I just found out, you know, and it's that easy. So what's another selling point that I find? Well, the other thing is that people really don't have professional mentorship and coaching. I'm a professional coach. That's what I do for a living. So you guys have the opportunity to work with a professional coach to help you with your plan, to move your plan forward. How cool is that? Now, a lot of you are stalled out in your blog because you're not doing the activities, or because you haven't developed the skill sets. And you have that in your guidebook, and you have me. All you have to do is call me up and say, hey, I want to role play with you a little bit. Okay, if you're remote, as an example, and you're either in Texas or South Carolina or, you know, Colorado and these other places, I have a lot of people there, Ireland, okay, and India and Africa. Look, all you have to do is get on Skype with me. It's not a big deal. And I'll role play with you, and we'll get this thing right. I'll even make calls with you while you're on Skype or three-way, right on the phone with you. All you do is pull your list of names together, get the numbers done, get Coach Gary on the phone. We'll make the calls together. You watch. Hey, I want to introduce you to my friend Gary here. Okay, he's my coach. Boom. Let me take over. That's all you have to do. Just introduce me. If you can't get it going, just introduce me and let me talk to them. All right? Because if they're not interested, because they don't want to open up or what have you, then you're going to have a great friend that's going to refer you business to people that need your services. In our case, it's pain relief, or somebody that's struggling financially. That person will actually do that for you. It's very cool. So you never lose if you do it the way I teach it to you. You don't violate friends. You don't, piss off the family, okay? What you're doing is you're extending yourself and saying, look, I'm very serious about campaigning for this company. We're building it globally, and I want to help a lot of people get out of pain, and I want to help a lot of people solve their financial issues and problems. And I'm working with a professional coach to do that. Do you know anybody that needs our help? That's all it is. Would you at least try the products? That's all it is. So when you get that down right, then you know what? The rest of it is very smooth on the follow-up. So let's go to that point. So how do you book that follow-up? Here's the biggest mistake people make, and why I teach. In fact, I'm the only coach I know that teaches how to use the current calendars that I've seen anyway. That's teaching out there. They teach you to use the calendar, but they don't teach you in the details. That I teach you how to use the iCalendar and the Google Calendar and the Outlook Calendar. I teach it in detail. Okay. Here's why it's important. Would you set up that time to chat by phone, or even a one-on-one in a coffee shop if you're doing it that way? That's okay how you do it. It's faster to do the chat than screen them, and then you go to the coffee shop. You're going to get more results, and you're going to work less time doing it, okay? But let's say that you're out there in a meetup group and you're doing your one-on-one. It's a perfectly way to do it. And I've been highly successful at that, build large organizations doing it. All right, so once you set up that chat and you meet with them, whether it's on Google, Skype, on the phone, or at a coffee shop, when you're talking to them, and after you talk to them, says, look, I want to follow up. I want to know what your thoughts and insights are. It's very important to me. I really need your help. I'm campaigning for this. I believe in it. Your excitement and your enthusiasm is going to get them excited. And their enthusiasm, I'm really campaigning for this. I'm excited about it. And I need your help. When can I follow up? I want you to watch this 8-minute video. I want you to watch this on-demand webinar. I want you to watch the 12:30 live webinar, whatever it is. You keep putting tools and information in their hands. That's all you do. And then when you follow up with them, okay, because you booked it on your calendar, and why I teach it to book it on your calendar is because when you put it on your calendar and you invite them through your calendar, it automatically sets up an email with that calendar on your email. And what's beautiful about that is when they click on it, guess what happens? It goes right into their calendar. So you're securing their time because they're booking it in a calendar. That's how cool it is. So then guess what happens? Then you just have to follow up if it's 2 or 3 days out. Hey, don't forget, or Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, we're on the calendar for 10 a.m. You just send them a follow-up email, 24 hours in advance. That's all you do. And I promise you, you're going to have very few people not show up because they'll be in their calendar. Very cool. Using the calendar techniques. Now, so when you talk to them on your one-on-one, your Skype, your phone, whatever you're doing, and you set it on the calendar to follow up, then you follow up with them. Oh, what do you do in the follow-up call? You got to learn a 3-point close. And it's a very simple technique. It's in your book, in your guidebook. Very simple close. Look, at this point, you had a chance to watch the 8-minute video, or you're on a 24-demand webinar, you went to a live webinar. Tell me what you like best. Don't ask for their opinions. They're going to give it to you. If you ask for their opinion, you're going to turn them into a critic, okay? And that's not good. What did you like best about what you watched, what you read? That's all it is. What did you like best? And they're going to tell you, okay? Now they're going to come up with things like, I liked it, but I just don't have the time. I don't know. Don't want to change direction now, and you're going to hear a lot of that, or I don't have the money. Let me tell you something. I promise you, very few people and I've done hundreds and thousands of phone calls and one-on-ones. Very few people have a plan to secure their financial future. You look them in the eye and you say, look at me. Do you have a plan right now to secure your financial future? Something that you really believe that's really going to work for you. Are you taking a risk and putting another 3 to 5 years into something that may or may not work for you? Wouldn't it be great if we had a plan B? Wouldn't it be great if we worked with a professional coach? Wouldn't it be great if you caught the timing of this company that's just taking off like a rocket ship, and we rode it up a little bit and created some extra income for you? What if we showed you how to do it in cracks of time you never thought possible? And you had looked them in the eyes, you had the conversation. What would you think? Look, I want you to get on the phone with Coach Gary. He's my mentor. He's got a huge heart, cares about people. He's really teaching me things I've never learned before. He's teaching me some techniques that are absolutely incredible. He even wrote a book for us, a whole guidebook, teaching us how to build it in the warm market, the local market, and the digital market. Let's get on the phone with Gary. That's all you have to do. That's the only close you have to do. Get him on a 3-way call with me. Now, if you pass that, you don't need me in a 3-way call, which that's not really the case. You should always use that 3-way call. You want to introduce people to your active upline. You want to build a team. They'll feel the support on the 3-way call. I'm going to talk about that in a minute. I'm going to take you online just for a second when I close this out. You always ask people what their interest level is. Here's your close. Very simple. What's your interest level in knowing more about the product, or possibly trying the product, or getting some of the product, the samples to help some friends out? What's your interest level in doing that on a scale of 1 to 10? Find out what it is. Folks, if it's 8 or better, you want to take the next step with them. If it's not, if it's down or 4, 5, or 6, then you just want to plug them into your drip system and check on them once in a while. Don't try to convince them on something that, a person convinced against their will is going to be of the same opinion still. It's not going to work. Second thing, listen, if they want to try the products, and you could say to them, look, as a customer, our membership's the same. It's like Costco. There's no preferred customer here or discount off retail. You get it at wholesale, So you know what? If as you start referring this, why don't you invite a few friends over? I'll come over and do a party for you, and let's see if I can't get it for you free, because your membership entitles you to referrals. They'll pay you 25% of anybody that comes in. So why not you get the benefit of that? By simply signing up here. How simple is that? So one, you want to try the products. Two, you want to get them free. There's your 3 point. And your third point is, look, how would you like to try the products, get them free, and at the same time, create some income and secure your financial future? And work with us and work with Coach Gary and build us in cracks of time we never thought possible, okay? All right, with that being said, that's the gold mine. Your calendar, the minute you have a meeting with them, book the follow-up. And let me tell you this, whenever you send out a video, book the follow-up. Whenever you put them on on-demand webinar, book the follow-up. When you get them on a live webinar, book the follow-up. Anything that you give them, you got to book the follow-up immediately. And if that follow-up goes beyond 48 hours, then you have to start the process all over again, and your chances are 50% at that point. So remember that, the follow-up. If you send them an 8-minute video, hey, how soon can I watch the video? Well, I could do it about 2 o'clock. Great, I'm going to call you then. I'll call you at 2:30. Put it on the calendar, send it to them, invite them through your calendar so they get it in email or text. They book it, and you call them back right at 2:30. Don't you be a minute late. That's how you do it. It's that simple. You book the follow-up at the time of the appointment, and you'll find your no-shows are going to go down, your conversions are going to go up, you're going to have more fun with this. It's just a simple thing to kind of like remember and kind of like get into practice, get in the groove, learn how to do it. It takes a little while, and I promise you, it'll flow for you like brushing your teeth. All right? Look, 5 connections a day, 10 connections a day is very easy to do with the way I teach it, especially with social media. And that will get you on your way to financial independence and freedom. Think about that. 5 connections, 10 a day. I'm at 25. I don't recommend going over 25. And you can do those connections in 30 minutes. 30 minutes a day, you can invest in your financial future. Everybody can find 30 minutes. I'm sorry. Everybody can find it. So that's a beautiful thing. All right, before we go, I want to show you 3-way call and we're done. Okay? Appreciate you guys here. All right, here's your 3-way call. Here's the power of this thing. All right. Let's do this. All right. Here's a 3-way call. If you could, I hope you can see this. All right. First of all, on a 3-way call, you must edify and build up the person or the expert. What is his success level, his knowledge? Has he been helpful and supportive? Is he fun, a great guy to be around? All of that's really important to build up that expert first. So edify and build up that expert. Now, you always call your prospect first and say, look, okay, and you always book a time with your expert too. You just text your expert and say, hey, when you can do a 3-way call, you get back to your prospect. Call the prospect first, not the expert first, the prospect first. If you call the expert first, they'll feel that you're setting them up. So call the prospect first. Say, look, we're going to call our expert right now. Then you do a third party, and then you synchronize the calls, and then you enter, hey, this is Gary. Before I come on, or whoever you're using upline, you always work with your upline active, and you can choose whoever you want. You always make sure that you build up and edify that expert before he comes on the line. When the expert comes on the line, that's it. You are totally quiet at that time. The expert will always build you and edify you too. That's just the way it is. But don't interfere with that, okay? Very, very important you keep that really online, okay? Now, here's the other thing. Why is this so powerful? Well, first of all, you're going to learn from your expert how to talk to somebody, engage somebody that they'll open up by asking leading questions, right? Like I just went over in this lesson, and getting people to talk to us about what they're going through as a solutions provider, and then we're going to have and help them solve their problems. And and then also we know how to encounter things like, I don't have time, I don't have money, I don't know how to switch gears. We know how to get people to think by wedging them to think a little more that what they're doing now that's not working for them. They got to consider some change. Okay. The other thing it does is it builds trust, a 3-way trust, and it builds the team. Okay. So trust is a big factor in the 3-way call. The other thing is it builds a relationship between all of us. and people see that they're going to have a team and they're going to have the same support you get. So it's a reassurance that, hey, I'm in business by myself. I'm in business for myself, but really not by myself. It just gives that collaboration. It's really a beautiful thing. So that's why the three-way call is so important. All right. So we're going to stop sharing here for a minute. I'm going to come back up and close this out. All right. So that's really your lesson on a three-way call, and and really to do a good job as far as closing out your people at the end and booking that follow-up call. The lifeblood of this business, seriously, is in the three-way call. Let me say that again. The lifeblood of this business is in the three-way call. The more three-way calls you have, the more success you're going to have. And if you don't do the three-way calls, you're kidding yourself. You're going to be spinning and spinning and wondering why you're not doing it and why you're not progressing and why you're not moving up the ranks. I can tell you right now, the people are going to be three-way calls, they're on their way. I know it. I know it. I know it. People that don't give me three-way calls, they're struggling. It's a fact. It's a truth. Okay? So if you can't get people to a three-way call with me, then you're not setting them up right. You're not edifying the expert right. You need to get on the phone call with me. Don't feel bad about it. Just get on the call with me. Hey, coach, I need a session with you. That's all. Just text me, email. I'm always there for you. Okay? I love your phone calls. I love the coach. I just do. I eat it up. I get excited about it. So just keep that in mind. All right? I'll help you every way I can. But you got to get on the phone, set up a coaching session with me. I'll always have time for you, and we'll go from there. All right, it's Coach Gary. God bless. I'll see you Wednesday. I'll see you next Monday. All right, have a wonderful week. Go text some 5, 10, 15 people a day for the next 5 days and see what happens to you. All right, bye-bye now.